Okay guys, we're not doing too hot right now. The new Avatar garbage didn't sell well. What about Kong? Rise of Kong? That Game of the Year contender?
What?
Well, sir, you didn't give us enough development time, so the game didn't perform too hot? Not enough development time? I gave you guys a year with Kong. King Kong, the guy that beats the shit out of Godzilla. A year isn't enough time for a good game with that? Are you kidding me? To be fair, sir, there's only so much we can do in a year. There's only so much I can take in one meeting. You're fired! Now that that's out of the way, who else can we call on to push some garbage out in the next few months? Well, we can make a sequel to our Nickelodeon fighting game. Maybe that would sell. Perfect. How fast can you ship out a new one? We'd like to get a bit more funding with this one and take our time to make a good sequel that our players will love and be happy with. Shut up! You have 2 years to make me a lot of money. Get started. What if I told you they put Smash Bros. And Street Fighter in one game, threw in a roster of Nickelodeon characters, revamped the graphical style, kept the rollback netcode, everybody got a new moveset, everyone that didn't get cut that is, and has single player features for good measure? That's Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 in a nutshell. This is a game that was released earlier this month to good praise from the community, and something that I feel deserves more eyes on it than it currently has. Is it the Smash killer? No, but this is a Smash alternative you can play on every console, even PC, and it feels just as good.
That's what I'm talking about!
Let's get into it. Everybody knows the meat and potatoes of a fighting game is the gameplay, so how is it in Nick Brawl 2? Well, comparing it to the first game and other things we've gotten on the market recently, such as multiverses and older releases such as Brawlhalla, I'd say this is a cut above the rest and where the game really shines. The hits feel impactful and animations look solid, whether you're spiking somebody, knocking them off the side or the top, it just feels good regardless of who you play. The game has 4 light attacks, 4 strong attacks, both with different variations whether you're in the air or on the ground. Each character also comes equipped with their own special moves in this entry, and they even made Aang feel like an actual avatar. Imagine that! What sets Nick Brawl apart from other platform fighters is that it feels more like a traditional fighter with combos and ways to chain moves together through its slime meter. Similar to EX attacks or meter costing moves in traditional 2D fighters, this allows a character to have an enhanced version of a special or to cancel into a move from another that wouldn't be normally possible, such as extending juggle combos, making your recovery better than before to ensure risky moves off stage, and find a way back still. Each character has a little something to shake up their gameplay. Characters, arguably the most important part for a lot of people when it comes to platform fighters, and I concur. While my boy Zuko isn't in the game just yet, I've gotta say the roster in this entry doesn't feel like carbon copies of one another, or that there are too many characters so we have repeats. I've mostly played Aang, who feels like a fast but well-rounded character to do some simple combos with. His gameplay is satisfying and I enjoy the feel of these moves, so for me I have found someone I enjoy playing. If you need some character recommendations, Ember is just Cloud Strife in Smash Bros, SpongeBob would be like Mario, and Donatello is just Sephiroth. He may look like a turtle, but don't let that fool you, he's the one-winged half-shell.
Turtle power!
Okay, that was a bit of an overreaction. He only shares some moves with Sephiroth, but hey, if you want a long-range fighter, there you go. There's a good mix of all-arounders, rushdown characters, puppet characters, zoners who thankfully are not overpowered in online play, and even grappler types which are somewhat rare for platform fighters. Everyone has a unique twist and their movesets are inspired from moments in the show, which is awesome, so there's a lot of fan service to love here if you're a Nickelodeon fan of past or present. Okay, so we've established the gameplay is unique, but what modes do I have available to me? Well, Nick Brawl 2 has a variety of game modes compared to other fighting games. We'll start with the online because this is usually where the core fanbase will reside for a fighting game. The online has ranked, quick play, and custom lobbies, all can be filtered by a rule set you choose so you'll get matched up with people looking for the same thing as you. For instance, if you're looking for a fun 2v2 with items on and anything goes, you can filter for that. If you would like to play a more serious 1 versus 1, there's an option for that as well, with proper tools to select that and find like-minded people. One issue with the online that should be rectified is that while the game has crossplay, for some questionable reason you must manually toggle the crossplay on every time you reopen the game, which can get tedious, so I figured I'd bring that up as this is a bizarre choice. Aside from this, when it comes to the online, I haven't really had any laggy matches and my experiences have been good for the most part. You can rematch a player as many times as you'd like, and don't have to back out to the main menu to select a different fighter. The only issue I've had is that if the connection is spotty before I get into the match, then you can get stuck on an infinite loading screen before the match begins. This can be due to the other player closing their application or just lagging out. The game will notify of this match not going through, but that can take a while before this notification pops up, having you question if your PC or console is frozen or not, which is never a good thing. Aside from the online, there are a variety of single player modes here. There is a story mode, boss rush, yeah, this game has bosses now, which is pretty cool, an arcade mode with fights unique to it, and 2 versions of destroy the targets. The story mode is a step up from what I expected. There's an actual plot and reasons for why the Nicktoons must band together. You start with SpongeBob and Patrick goofing off, where SpongeBob uses his godlike abilities to open an interdimensional rift, sending Patrick to the Shadow Realm to never see the light of day, until SpongeBob duels Pegasus for Patrick's soul. I've been told this is not the plot of Nick Brawl 2, but this is actually the plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! My apologies. Patrick gets whisked away to the Shadow Realm, and you must save him. And the rest of your friends across the multiverse, Nickverse, I'm gonna call it the Nickverse from here on out, to stop Vlad Plasmius from taking over every IP like these goofy Genshin ads are taking over my YouTube feed. Jokes aside, the story mode itself is a mix of a roguelike with collectibles to spruce up the hub world each run, minigames such as platforming segments, fights against other characters, bosses, and even skins to unlock for your favorite fighters while the story unfolds. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it was a ton of fun and refreshing compared to something like World of Light from Smash, which felt bloated in my opinion. There's a lot of content there, and that's great, but at the same time I can't say it would be my first choice for single player campaign in my platform fighters. It's short, gets to the point, and it doesn't drag on too much, so that's kinda why I like the Nick Brawl 2 campaign. Each run isn't as difficult as something found in a dedicated roguelike in the later stages, but it's good fun. My only gripe is that there's no couch co-op like most games nowadays, which is a shame as you can somewhat lose a family audience or friends just trying to play a game together. The boss rush mode is just that. You'll tackle bosses from the story mode in a gauntlet, Mega Man style with no breaks. It's fun, but not something you'd be doing super often, I'd imagine. The arcade mode is cool as while it's similar to the story mode, it also has unique fights to it, such as teaming up with certain characters for what could be considered iconic battles against others from their own series. Overall, it's a good chunk of content here for somebody that'd like to sink their teeth into a single player mode. While I'm not going to tell you what it's worth, I can tell you that it took me around maybe 5 hours for the campaign. It can be done really fast, but it was enjoyable. The story mode and characters are all voice acted as well, which is a huge plus, and it adds a lot to whoever you play as. They'll have unique interactions with the merchants and other characters found in the story mode.
Blowing bubbles is hard, SpongeBob.
Let me show you, Patrick. It's all in the technique.
Side note, I forgot to talk about the upgrades in the roguelike mode. While it's not going to be as crazy as making uber unique builds in dedicated roguelikes, the upgrades can serve to beef up your character and change up their gameplay a bit, such as adding extra jumps or making certain moves give you buffs when you use them. It's fun and you can upgrade them, so there is a bit of depth there, but don't go into it expecting to make completely new builds where you're going to be using SpongeBob's bubbles only throughout the run. You could do that if you want to, but it's not as in-depth as that, let's say. In this section, I want to list a few nitpicks I have with the game. They're not major issues, but I think they are things you should be aware of before purchasing. For starters, there are characters that were cut from the original. To be fair, this game is a reimagining of the first game and it was built entirely from the ground up. I assume the reason that some of those characters were cut was to keep the game fresh or because they just didn't get around to getting every original fighter revamped. There is no demo or free trial for this game to test out, which is a shame. Many fighting games don't do this, but the upcoming Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Relink will have a free mode for players to demo before committing the cash if they choose to do so. It's no platform fighter, but I do think it would help most games out to have some sort of demo mode to try. This game has some minor issues such as crossplay being turned off every time the game is closed, infinite loading screens sometimes when a player disconnects or rage quits in the versus screen. Sometimes I've noticed that my character will not slip through platforms when trying to descend to the stage below. It's not a big thing, but it does feel awkward having to spam the stick downwards before I fall through. I am playing on a PS5 controller which isn't natively supported by the game. It works just fine, but I'm unsure if the issue is caused due to this or what. Other than that though, you might be asking, why Nick Brawl over other platform fighters? Let's take a look at what sets Nick Brawl 2 apart from other entries. Well, let's look at the competition firstly. Brawlhalla is a free-to-play fighting game that reuses weapon types between characters so moves can be shared, making some characters less unique comparatively to others. Don't punch me, I've played Brawlhalla very casually, but I'm no expert, so this could be wrong, but that's just what I've gotten from the little bit I've played of it. The free-to-play is a great thing, but if you're looking to play somebody unique in that game, this might not be for you. Multiverses is dead. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is only available on the Nintendo Switch for $60 and an online subscription service. While Nick Brawl 2 is multi-platform, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch will still require a subscription, but if you're on PC, this can be a better option for you, and the game is more likely to go on sale compared to Smash Bros. Hell, it's even on sale right now for $30 instead of the usual $50. I wasn't paid to say this, and I'll have the link in the description in case you're interested, but I'd say for $30 there's a good amount of fun to be had here. You can also just wait till it's lower, so no harm done there. For the most part, I'd say this is a solid release into an already stellar year for fighting games as a whole, so having more options isn't a bad thing. Not saying you need to buy this game now, but hey, keep it on your radar, and for a budget price, you might actually end up having a better time than you think. I know I did, and just wanted to spread the good word. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate your time. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving this week, have a great time with your family, friends, or just have a good meal. Stay safe, friends, take care of yourselves. By the way, I'd just like to thank you for 500 subscribers. We hit this milestone in just a little over 2 months, which I still find a bit mind-blowing, but I appreciate it a ton. Thanks again, and see you soon.